Alright, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is Ranger Flam. Welcome everyone to my Sword Online Alicization episode 4 review. I could say one thing going into this episode: it is by far the best one that we have for the 4 episodes of this series. It was just a complete mind blown. If you're an SAO fan, you would definitely love this. If it's character development, if it's of course the action, this is an episode for you. And my god, just reading reviews first going into this episode, it wasn't any spoiler or anything like that. People are saying it was a great episode. It was, and I could already say that this episode was a 10 out of 10, but let's explain more and what happened in this episode. This episode, it continues off of what happened in episode 3 of Soka, of course Alice's little sister, going into the cave that we actually seen in episode 1 of Alice, Igyo, and Kirto going to get ice. I mean, of course, the ice dragon, you guys know what happens right there. But of course, she was captured by the goblins that are part of the dark territory. And of course, Igyo and Kirto need to go and save her before she dies. And we left on a cliffhanger that the goblins are going to be versing Kirto and Igyo. Of course, this builds up action. This is going to be our first action part of what Sword Online Alicization is going to be. And my god, the action right here, this is just a little teeny tiny bit right here. If they could pull off more going into Alicization, I feel like this season of SAO is going to have the best action fight scenes in Sword Online history, and I am ready for it. And I'll say another thing in this episode is, I don't know what it is, but the gore. The gore that we see in this episode, oh my god, that is definitely an improvement. Just watching Kirto versus the goblins, which, by the way, old Kirto, we see it, and it reminds me of actually season 1 Kirto. It just brings up that vibe of him literally destroying each single goblin, going to this king goblin to hopefully, defeat them and go and save, of course, Soka. But the gore, I'll just say one thing, it's a really good improvement. I like it. It kind of fits like an RPG style to this underworld. This is a real life setting, and it really has me confused of how this setting is going to be, just because we know from this underworld that it's mostly just a virtual reality. It's not real. Kirto is trapped in this world. But what has me kind of curious and kind of confused about was when Kirto was versing this goblin and gets slashed in the arm. He could feel that, he could feel that pain. He actually is hurt on his left arm, I do believe. And it's is part of this world, if Kirto dies in this world, will he die in real life? And that's the question that I am curious and kind of confused about right here. Is it that setting? Is he back in season 1 Sword Online, that if he dies in this underworld, he can never return to reality to see Asuna, Sinon, and the rest of the gang? So I'm hoping that really gets kind of developed in the future of SAO Alicization here. Of course, we have Igyo's big development in this episode, which I love. Him actually conquering his fear to go up against enemies. Of course, we've seen this in episode 1 where he couldn't even save Alice against the knight, and now in this episode he stands up for Kirto after Kirto is literally almost about to die from this goblin. He puts his life on the line to try to save Kirto. Doesn't really work out too well. He's on the deathbed. Now he needs Kirto and Soka's help for him to help before he dies. That's kind of really a simple thing. But what's cool about this episode is I love Igyo's development. We're only 4 episodes in, and I could already say from his character that he's definitely a top 5 favorite character in the series for me personally. I don't know about you guys, but of course, we've seen his development. We've seen it in the opening, the trailers, and etc. like that eventually he's going to become a swordsman and try to help Kirto out. And of course, in this episode right here, we get that huge development that he wants to be a swordsman. He wants to help Kirto out, and he wants to save Alice from the knight, from Central, whoever has her hostage, to bring her back home to her family. Huge development for Igyo's part right there. And it's kind of a cool thing as well that we see in this episode, that Kirto actually becomes a teacher. He's the one teaching Igyo how to become a swordsman, and I kind of like that. We see from a beginner, a lone wolf kind of person, to now teaching someone else to hone their sword skills, which it's pretty cool. We only see a little bit transform, but definitely a huge improvement in this episode, as we could see, because Igyo, he cuts down the demon tree, which is a really cool part. The animation was beautiful, absolutely beautiful, and I love that he has this huge improvement, and just a little bit of a time as well. Like, it didn't really take Igyo this long to master the Blue Rose sword, by the way, which is so cool from the abilities that he uses, you know, the glow, the animation. It was just perfect. He cuts down the tree, and this tree, by the way, guys, if you haven't watched, you know, the previous episodes of Alicization, is that this demon tree is kind of a sacred thing in this land. Like, it's a really terrible thing that, you know, when this tree is around the city, or I guess a little village, they can't harvest food or anything like that. Like, it's really hard for them to get food and water and everything like that. So it's always been like a calling through generations to generations. It's been continuing on for 300 years, and it's finally been cut down, and Igyo is now a hero to his village and, you know, to his people and everything like that. And we see a little bit of development right here from this underworld, that everyone in the underworld has a calling. We all know this. Everyone has a job and they have to do it. If they don't, that is a violation to the taboo index. So you can't do it, or else of course you could be executed, just like Alice was for her entering the dark territory. But if you complete your calling, you have the right to choose your own calling, you know, your next job, what you want to do, and etc. like that. And of course Igyo picks a swordsman. You know, he wants to be a swordsman to specifically go to Central City, not just to help Kirto, but of course to save Alice and to bring her home safe, because he feels bad that, you know, he just left her, that he couldn't do anything to protect her, but now he wants to stand up. He wants to risk his own life to save Alice and to bring her to her family so everyone could live happily ever after. That's mostly it right there. I guess one big thing to talk about in this episode here as well is that Igyo kind of has his memories back. He remembers Kirto actually being with them, going of course to, you know, this ice cave, Alice entering the dark territory, her being captured. So Igyo has his memories back a little bit. He remembers Kirto. They're best friends now, and now they're going to go on to a journey outside their village to Central, and I think it's just going to be such a sick roller coaster, guys. I'm ready for more Alicization. This is definitely going to be such a good season, and it just completely mind blows me that there's going to be 50 episodes of this. We're only on episode 4. Definitely going to be the best season of SCO, you know. I'm excited, guys. Hope that you guys are as well. But yeah, that was mostly episode 4, Departure of Sword Art Online Alicization. I hope that you guys enjoyed the episodes. Let me down in the comments below actually how you felt about this. Of course, like the video if you guys haven't. My rating about this, guys, I'm going to give this episode a 10 out of 10. Definitely enjoying it. Definitely a recommended watch if you guys are new to SAO, or if you haven't watched this episode yet. Just recommend it. Go to Crunchyroll, go to whatever site you use, and watch the episode. And subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't. And we'll see you guys next week, though, for a new episode review of Sword Art Online Alicization. Much love, everyone. And as always, have yourselves a wonderful day.